So this is Tiny Home Freedom, episode 4, I think. and I had to reduce the frame size to 640 by 480 because otherwise my computer wasn't recording the frames fast enough to actually have lip movement coincide with the audio. So, and there's my bird, beautiful, in the background. Um, and yeah, it's funny. It's like for a while I didn't know what name to use for him, but I called him Beautiful a lot. Like, hey, Beautiful. So that just kind of ended up being his name. And I think it's a guy. I'm not quite sure. He had a vet exam at one point, and even the vet wasn't sure if he was male or female. Like, it's really hard to tell with birds. So anyway, hi. And yeah, it's been a few days since I recorded anything because I guess it was like 3 days ago, like the day after the most recent recording. I tried to record something and the computer was being way too slow, and so I was kind of frustrated and not really in the space to like do a whole bunch of troubleshooting to figure it out. So and then I took a couple days working on I have like utility shelving that's like 2 feet deep by 3 feet wide, that I cleared off everything that was on it, and I've been using it to put the stuff that I want to keep for my tiny house. Because I kind of realized, like I've been drawing designs of the layout of a tiny house on wheels for like about 3 years. But in one way, I realized it's really important to know what exactly I'm going to be keeping in order to know how much space I require to store it. So it's kind of this balance of knowing how much I want to keep and then designing the tiny house large enough to accommodate that, balanced with what's a reasonable size for a tiny house. And I finally made a design where everything it's conceivable for it all to fit in 20 feet length of a tiny house on wheels, being 7 feet 10 inches wide on the interior. And it's a design I like, but it's also one of the main things I mentioned how I want to adopt a service poodle, and I got the form yesterday, the application form, and started filling it out. And so it's kind of important for me to know if I end up with a Moyen sized or a standard sized poodle, that would inform what size of a tiny house I require. And also, like, if I'm not single someday, and there ends up being 2 people in the tiny house, it's good for it to be larger. So I'm kind of like, well, should I design it with those considerations in mind? Well, definitely I need to design it with the service poodle in mind. Like the amount of space that would be comfortable for both of us to be moving around, because the service poodle would be with me all the time, like always right next to me. So I have to make sure that whatever space I'm using, there's enough open space next to me for my service poodle. And I'm like a little bit nervous about the whole service poodle thing, but also excited about it. And I think it'd be really helpful, especially during my depression. Like, they're trained to be an emotional support, to understand what best helps with getting through the depression, in terms of just like snuggling and being close, and like nudging my hand if I'm getting too deep into like, morose thoughts or something. So anyways, I feel it would be very helpful for me. Plus, like, it'd be so nice to have a dog again. So anyways, there's definitely that consideration. So the 20-foot length design I came up with may not be practical with a service poodle. So, but then there's the other thing, like, should I design it to be able to accommodate a second person if I ever have someone special in my life for that? Or would it be better to design what's definitely enough space for me, and then if somebody else does come into my life where reaches the point of living together, then maybe that would be time to build a new tiny house that would be big enough for both of us. So it's kind of, like I want to be able to plan for the future, but also I want to keep the tiny house as small as is practical. And the 20-foot design, in a lot of ways, is just right. But especially like with a full-size service poodle, I definitely would need it longer, like maybe 22 to 24 feet. And even like making it 22 feet to have like an extra couple feet of shelving could be a good thing. So sorry about the mic being in my face, but I want to make sure the audio's good quality. So anyways, the 2 by 3 foot shelving, it's almost full. It's actually, I have like like plastic totes. Like some of them are big and some of them are like shoebox size and some of them are medium size. And I have those full on the shelf, but there's like 1.5 big ones that are empty. Several of the shoe boxes are still empty, so like there's still more space that, for putting stuff there. And I'm trying to fit in that 2 by 3 feet everything other than my cello, my music stand, my keyboard, like kitchen supplies, and books. So that's would be another shelf. Like hopefully 2 by 3 feet shelving would be enough for all of that. Other than like my cello and my music stand, that's like, they're really big. But so like I'm trying to get it down to like a practical size that would work for a tiny house. And then the other stuff that I have, I plan on still having access to the basement of my house, even though I'm renting out the upstairs. So there's a few things that I may put in storage in the basement, like I have canvases and acrylic paint, like the supplies for doing acrylic painting. I might keep at least for a while to see if anyway. It's kind of this working in stages about knowing what to hold on to in terms of materials that support activities and what activities I would be willing to let go of, such as acrylic painting instead of watercolor painting. And I really love watercolor painting. I love the textures that you can get, the way that the pigment in certain paints kind of separate and create like these textures. I really, really love that. And it works especially like if it's rough paper. I'm planning on using watercolor blocks that are save space. So I was thinking, should I go into this long explanation? But like an artist would already understand that. And if you're not an artist, it's details you probably don't need. So, but yeah. So I have that shelving, and I don't know, I'm just working on, I spent time putting together kind of like my dream equipment on the Apple website. Like I put in my shopping cart like the dream equipment I would love to have. So I'm kind of sometime soon we'll be emailing Apple to see if they'd be kind enough to sponsor these videos by donating the equipment that will allow me to have a large frame size for the videos. So that would be good. And I'm not sure what else to talk about right now. I've been kind of going through cycles. I've been going through these cycles for like several years, ever since I learned about the tiny house movement. I've been going through cycles of like, am I crazy wanting to live in this like little, 7 feet 10 inch wide by like 20 feet house on wheels, or 24 feet house on wheels? Like, why would I want to do that? It's like so small. And it's like, and then there's other days where it's like, wow, this will be so great. I'm looking forward to it so much, and so it's that process of, do And that was like, Windows Optimizer Pro, would you like to update? Yes or no? It's like, I don't know if Apple does that stuff because I haven't had a Mac in so long, but it really annoys me, all the like stuff that Windows tries to promote to like get you to purchase, and ugh. But anyway, so a little at a time. And yeah, so even though once in a while I have these doubts of like, do I really want to do this, living in a tiny house? It's still something that I really want to try. And from other videos I've seen of people, it seems like, and Jay Schaefer said, the hardest part is letting go of the stuff that doesn't fit in a tiny house. And once you've managed to do that, then it's easy sailing. So I've like kind of made a mental list for quite a while of what I would keep, but I never actually gathered together physically the stuff that I would want to keep. So it's really important for me to know just how much space that takes up, and that will definitely inform the size of the tiny house on wheels. And I don't really mind too much giving up acrylic and oil, and like I also did oil painting, so I have oil paints and everything. In some ways, working on canvas, I don't know, I haven't done that for a while already, just because with the bipolar stuff, I didn't have a space that was already set up to just walk in and start painting. It would take like, a lot of organizing. And like at one point I did have a space like that for watercolor painting, and then things happened and it got all crowded. And but anyway, so it's kind of easier to give up something that I already haven't been doing for quite a while. Although part of me is like, what if I really want to start doing acrylic or oil painting again someday? And so for now I'm telling myself, well, I have the 800 square foot house where I'm renting out the upstairs, but there's still the basement for me to use, so I can have that stuff in the basement if I really, decide that's good. So I'm keeping those things for now. And yeah, maybe someday I'll let go of those things and have only what actually fits in the tiny house on wheels. If that feels important or the right thing to do. So, I don't know, it's kind of not a big deal using the basement space because, maybe half of it should be for the people that are renting the upstairs, and then I have the other half for stuff that I want to store or like activities that wouldn't work in the tiny house. So anyways, I'm repeating myself a lot, and so I guess it's, good to end the recording. I'm glad it's finally getting a little bit warmer out. We had snow for a few days. It was really cold. I'm glad spring is finally like maybe here. It'd be really great to have spring finally. And thank you so much everyone who's been watching the videos and leaving comments. And there's a few subscribers. So I haven't done anything yet to actively promote the videos. So far it's only just been, whatever YouTube promotions there are once it's uploaded. So I'm going to work on promoting soon. It's kind of that scary step of like really, getting that exposure and lots of people seeing the videos. And, I decided to be very open and honest about who I am and what I go through. And it's like, some of the things that I go through in the process of deciding to build and move into a tiny house on wheels is a little bit different from other people because of the bipolar stuff. But it's also, as far as I know, there isn't really much out there in terms of what the process is actually like of going from, I have an 800 square foot house that's both the upstairs and the basement are full of a lot of stuff. To go from that like 1,600 square feet of storage room or like usable space down to like 140, probably about 140, maybe 160 square feet of usable space. So, yeah, so it could be really good for people to be able to observe what that process is like for me. And that will give them a bit of an idea of what the process might be like for them. So, yeah, so I hope that, oh, there's one of my cats. So I hope that these videos really help people. And thanks, and I'll talk to you soon.